What's up, guys? It's your boy Justin back with a new movie review, and today we're reviewing the Chinese fantasy sci-fi film, I guess, Writer's Odyssey, which is a 2021 film directed by Lu Lang, who directed such films as the Brotherhood of Blades films, and he was one of the directors of The Sacrifice, which was Chinese war film, and it stars Yang Mi, Yu Shu Sen, Lei Jiayin, Dong Zian, and uh, Tong Lia. So, there's probably going to be spoilers in this review. I'm sorry, that's just the kind of reviewer I am, where if I really enjoy a film, I like to talk about it, and that includes saying some spoilers. So if you don't want to be spoiled, the rating will be in the description, right? Which I really enjoyed the film and I highly recommend it, right? And the movie you can watch for free on Tubi if you want to check it out. Which the Tubi only has the English dub, which the English dub was quite good in my opinion, right? I've heard worse English dubs. So the movie is about like 2 hours and 10 minutes, which is typical for like overseas films. They love their long films, right? And the movie is like what the movie and like is way over the place with its genre, right? Because it's like it's hard to say what kind of genre film this movie is. Like the movie, in a lot of ways, reminded me of Zack Snyder's Sucker Punch, but not in a bad way. But then again, I did like Zack Snyder's Sucker Punch. I only watched that movie after my friend recommended it because who's a staunch defender of the film, which, unlike what a lot of people say, that movie does somewhat make sense if you actually pay attention to the story of that film. And so the movie is about our main character Guang Ning, who was a successful banker, right? Until his daughter goes missing, and for 6 years, our main character has been hunting down child traffickers, right, in an attempt to find his daughter, right? After getting arrested by the cops, after rescuing a truckload of kids, he gets rescued by Tu Ling, which is played by Yang Mi, who's in other Lu Wang films, who rescues him and offers him a job. She's a representative of the Aladdin Group, which is this successful like tech company. They don't really say what they do, but like you see the spokesperson who's also the boss of the company like shill an app, right? And he has her underling hire Guaning to go and kill this writer because the writer is writing this fantasy story, a fantasy story where every time something bad happens to the main bad guy in the fantasy book, and the main bad guy is called Red Mane, he feels it, right? Where the movie gets weird is our main character has like superpowers, and there are other people in the movie that also have superpowers, right? Our main character's superpower, which reminded me of Wanted, is that he has the ability to throw objects with super high speeds and power, and to the point where like he can even curve the shot. Though he only does that once in the movie, right? So that's why he was chosen to kill the. Well, that's not why, but that's he has he has basic superpowers, which there are other characters in the movie who have superpowers that are the henchmen of the main boss, right? While this is going on, where we get interspliced scenes from the fantasy story, where you have this story about this young man called Kong Wen, which is also the name of the author, who is a 20-something-year-old NEET that lives off his mom. Right. NEET as in a person who doesn't, who lives at home and doesn't doesn't have a job, or isn't in school, right? And the story is about the Kong Wen, who is the son of a general who's constantly being hounded by the evil tyrant called Redmayne, whose sister dies at the beginning of the film trying to defend him, right? And he inherits her halberd, right, which got damaged in a fight with an old man wearing this living armor that has an eyeball at the center. The armor looks like it's made out of wood. He kills the old man who killed his sister and inherits his armor, which talks, by the way, and can separate from him and to help fight. Which he generates swords out of his arms, man. A lot of Dark Soul inspired imagery with the enemies and some of the soldiers in the film, right? Which is, there's these crimson armored soldiers in the film that work for Lord Redmayne, right? And one of them, right, maybe is linked to Guang Ning and our world, right? In Kong Wen's story, he befriends this little girl named Tangerine, who is also the name of the main character's daughter, who he's looking for, right? And they go on a quest to find Lord Redmayne, right? While that's going on, Guang Ning befriends Kong Wen, the author, and decides to turn against Aladdin Group's leader to protect Kong Wen, because he believes that he has the key to finding his daughter, right? Who, Aladdin Group was supposed to find for him, right? And the movie's climax is Guang Ning fighting other superhumans, right? One is just a skinny guy who's super strong, and the other guy is a guy who has a battery who has a strong electrical resistance and constantly has a battery charging through his body so he can shock people. Which there's a scene where you see him shock someone, and the guy's like, "Man, I thought you generate that electricity." He's like, "You watch too much sci-fi films. I've just been playing with sockets since I was a kid, so I have a huge resistance to electricity." Right? Which that character was actually pretty funny. And then the climax, the action scene, and the climax of the other story is Kong Wen, Guang Ning, and the Living Armor fighting Redmayne, which turns out to be a giant blue god, a four-armed blue god who reminded me of Ashura from Ashura's Wrath, which that whole fucking scene was basically like a live-action Dark Souls boss battle, right? It was insane. Oh my god, dude. This film is the closest we'll ever get to a fucking live-action Dark Souls movie, probably. If it does ever happen, it'll probably suck. But yeah, oh my god. So I'm just gonna go with my likes and dislikes. The cinematography was great. The acting, from what I could tell, because obviously I'm watching English dub Chinese film, seemed fine to me. Right? I love the cinematography was great, the music was great, the action scenes were great. There was some really cool, nice set pieces in the film, right? Visual effects, right? The CGI of the creatures, though they kind of look dated, they're not up to Hollywood standards. They still looked good to me. I thought they did a fine job, especially the living armor when he became a creature and he helped fight with Kong Wen. I love this movie and I highly recommend it, and I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. Also, there is a post-credit scene, right, at like 2 hours and 5 minutes, because the credit starts around like 2 hours. But yeah, there is a post-credit scene. So, you know, if you're going to watch the movie, make sure to check that out. So, yeah, I love the movie and I totally recommend it. Peace. Oh shit, I pressed the wrong button.